As many, Chair recognizes Senator Mitchell.
Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Madam Vice President. Senator Handfield did my work for me. So I can truncate my statement today and use just a fraction of what I intended to say. But to start off on one of his last points, is this question of taking so long, is we have been waiting for the Progressive Liberal Party to become a non-profit since we came to this place after the general election. And it's on the, anyway, the minister and I exchanged, you sent it back down because it was on your desk. You should have signed it. You should have signed it.
No, I told you.
You should have signed it. No, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you. Because it falls within the law, you know, and it's either that or the government should pass a special act. You've had time to, well, then pass the special act. But we've been waiting for 3 years to be done, for this to be done. So my view is that right now, see, a nonprofit, here's a nonprofit. I think that the Attorney General told me that because we don't have charitable objects. A nonprofit is an unincorporated body of persons or a non-government organization formed and established for the purpose of promoting public policies or objects that are religious, charitable, educational, scientific, historical, fraternal, literary, sporting, artistic, athletic, and its profits, if any. Now, I come into that because I went back because the word you were quarreling with is charitable. No, because, well, first of all, it falls within public policy. There's no question about that. So you can't have an argument with that because that's what the political party is for, public policy.
No.
Yes, it is. It is for promoting public policy.
It's public policies
or objects. Right, exactly. So the quarrel you're having with is charitable because it falls within charitable. There's no question it falls within charitable. If you go back to the spirit, what do they call it? The spirit and intent of the Statute of Elizabeth and its interpretation in 1891 by the McNaughton Rules. It's the relief of poverty for the advancement of education, the advancement or relief of other purposes beneficial to the community. That clearly falls within charitable objects. Clearly does. And I think you should sign it because it's been long enough. I think you should sign it. Long enough. So when he says it takes too long, I agree with him. It takes too long. And the PLP is not the only one that's waiting. The PLP is not the only one that's waiting. PLP is not the only, there are others. Other people who are just waiting for the, you know, it's on the minister's desk. That's what the public servants say. It may not be on your desk. Wait, yeah, but you've admitted. I have 7 no, you've admitted that it does.
Can we stop the back and forth and have him make his presentation?
Stop, yeah, I agree with you. Now, all right, now. Yeah, well, I know you're coming with that, but it's on your desk now. It's on your desk now. It's on your desk now, so sign it. Sign it. Sign it. Sign it. Sign it. The PLP is waiting. Sign it. We ain't crying. We say sign it. Do your duty. Do your duty. You have the power. Do it. You do your duty. Do your duty. Do your duty. Do your job. Sign, 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 sign. 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 I say sign. 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 Sign it. Sign it. Now, the next thing. You know, the other comment I want to make, since the other comment I want to make about this bill is, I had to smile last night after the head of government of a neighboring state announced that as of tomorrow, no flights from Europe will be flying into his, effective flying. No flights will be flying into his country. And I thought to myself, because I had made this comment last week, and the comment I made last week is every time we say we are passing something which is going to make it easier, and I heard the Attorney General say, oh, all you do is just go down to the building, fill out a piece of paper, and it's done, right? Not in this universe. I can guarantee you. Yep. Not anywhere in this universe. Every time we pass something, Madam Vice President, it becomes more complicated for Bahamians to operate and do their business. So now these nonprofits who are going along minding their business, God only knows how you can money launder in Bahamian dollars, but fine, the international community thinks you can do so. But you see, the point I'm making now is this is driven by these Europeans in their disguise as FAFTF. And I said, karma is really something. So now they can't fly to the States. They can't fly to the States. Now they know how it feels when someone is more powerful than you and impose standards on you, which you have no ability to fight back, because they can't say a word, and they can't do a word in response to it. So they've done a good job for the Bahamas in this sense. Done a good job. But I also want to say, in a more serious vein, that I am concerned, as I raised the first time the Attorney General, as leader of the government, raised this issue of what the government is doing on this coronavirus. It seems to me, forgive me if this seems hyperbolic, but the world appears to have gone mad. I mean, I don't understand this. The plague. There was a plague in the 14th century. They say the history of it is fleas from Asia eventually made their way on the Silk Road. Yeah, they had I heard about Sweden too. Made their way on the Silk Road over to Europe, and something like 200 million people died during the 14th century. There's another one in the 19th century by which a man named Albert Camus wrote a book called The Plague. It was done, the book was written in the 40s. In both those instances, the response of public policy was containment. Well, first, people dissembled, they didn't believe it, so on and so forth. But in both those instances, it's containment. And the problem is, the evidence is containment has generally been a failure, because people will mix with people. I mean, I hear them going around saying, we must stop shaking hands. The church, I tried that. I went to a function yesterday in Fox Hill, the beating of retreat by the police. You know how impossible it is to not shake people's hands in a public gathering? I mean, why would you give such advice? So everybody now has to have sanitizer on them. You've gone to the point now where you say, don't go on cruise ships. Do you know what that does to the economy of the Bahamas? Don't go on cruise ships? What happens when we have 2 cases of coronavirus in the Bahamas? Does the United States now say Bahamians can't fly to the United States? I mean, what are we doing? There must be, the scientists and the people who are involved in public policy must be able to deal with this in another way, instead of shutting down the world's economy and putting all of us at risk economically over this. I mean, we have to be sensible. We have to be sensible. The NBA season is canceled. I mean, do you know how much? I mean, it's just unbelievable, this. So I'm saying, the point I had raised is, when you said it, was this question of you grab someone at the airport and put them in a place in quarantine for 2 weeks. I was concerned about that, and the extent to which that was going to go. For example, can this country afford that? The Minister of Health is now saying that there may be as many as 400 cases ultimately at the far end.
I think that you must be very, with respect, sir, you must be very precise in what you say, and be as precise as the minister was. He said, if there were to be an infection in the Bahamas, At its worst, it would go to 400.
Fine, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said. So the point is that the senator made here this morning. And I hear all this stuff about careful. The problem is the public isn't being careful. The public is in panic mode. And it's in panic mode because the international community has not been responsible in dealing with this matter. That's the point I'm making today. And so our leaders, I'm urging our leaders, that we have a responsibility to be judicious in the way we deal with this. We cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. Cannot. Have to be very careful with it. We are already on a knife's edge in this economy. And last night, I'm told that as Bahamas Air was departing at its 6:30 flight, which ultimately led at 8, one of the staff, one of the passengers overheard because the immigration was apparently putting 2 Asians on the plane. People assumed, you know, and this is the funny things you get in, right? The issue is not Chinese. It's not whether they're Chinese. The question is, have you been to China? That's the issue. And so you see, you get people involved in this kind of prejudicial behavior. But that's not the point I'm making here. The point is that people ultimately were deplaned and then put back on the plane, and now everybody is worried because those persons didn't come back on the plane when the plane took off. So everybody's worried. What's the situation? Why is that? There's no announcement. I see Bahamas Air did put an announcement about the steps they are taking. But I'm just saying, look, I understand that this is a serious matter. I'm not trying to underplay it. But I'm saying, for Lord's sake, we just cannot just go so overboard with this. We must save lives. We must protect the public good. But we've also got to keep a Bahamas that functions economically. If we lose 30 or 40% of this economy, do you know the impacts that will have? I mean, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where are we going to find the money to keep this place going? So we have to, with our international partners, and this is the point I'm getting to, with our international partners, speak to them and say, look, we have to come up with a regime which protects all of our interests while dealing with the health problem. So that's the serious point I wanted to make this morning. Thank you. The senators on this side have already indicated that we support the bills, subject to those caveats, and that's it for me. Thank you.